Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Dreams podcast, episode 54 with Charlie and Justin. We are getting you guys set and ready to go for, well, preemptively, I guess, for Thanksgiving, but by the time this airs, it will have already been Thanksgiving. So, you and I definitely have a lot to be thankful for this year, sure.
It's too much.
And I feel like that's pretty much going to be the natural theme of the episode, is
absolutely.
what we're thankful for.
Yeah, I got a lot to be thankful for. And it's so much. I guess I could rattle off every single item really quickly, but it wouldn't be paying any of them or any of the people respect enough.
Yeah.
Just to spit it all out there. But first and foremost for me, have been blessed this year to become a father soon.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing for me is like lifelong dream coming true.
Mm-hmm. I mean, right up there with obviously getting married. That's one of the biggest blessings of your life so far.
Yeah. And they both come from the same woman.
Yeah. How awesome is that?
Right.
I was having a discussion the other day that I thought was pretty relevant to what we're talking about now. And I said that, and this is a good problem to have, I guess, but there's so much in your life to be thankful for that you can't possibly be aware. Like, you can't have that self-awareness of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the example that I used was, if you break your leg tomorrow, you look back inevitably and say, gosh, what I wouldn't be able to do to just walk again.
Right.
Like, I was never, but that's the thing, is you never wake up, or at least I don't. Maybe there's some people out there that are hypersensitive and hyper aware of it, to be that conscientious. But I am not like that. I don't wake up every morning when I get out of bed and say, oh, thank God I'm able to walk. Thank God my legs work.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would almost have to do that with literally every single step you take, not just like literally with the walking, but metaphorically speaking too, just everything.
Yeah.
Breathing, your sight, your ability to move, living in a house, driving a car to work, like just every luxury that you have in life or ability that you have is really a blessing. And it's so hard to kind of look at all that from an outsider's perspective or from an insider's perspective, because you have so much to be thankful for, and it would be overwhelming. And like, the reason that conversation got brought up is because perhaps being more importantly than the things you're thankful for that you have is being thankful for the others that are in your life and the people that you have.
Absolutely.
Because we were talking about, I forget exactly how the conversation transpired, but in essence, we were talking about people that you lose touch with over the years.
Yes.
Like, for me, one of the things that I think about is college roommates. Like, when I went to college, I lived with people for multiple years. And then when you leave, you never talk to them again.
Right.
And it's kind of weird to think that I lived with someone and spent every single day with them for years. And then suddenly we parted ways and never spoke again. And it's not like like you have any malice towards them or anything, or disdain towards them. It's just life. They just don't think about keeping up with everybody. And I said that I do a bad job sometimes. I do a pretty poor job of being a good friend, because there's so many close friends to me that I've gotten out of touch with for no other reason other than you meet new people, and not that your friends are replaceable, but like they just lose. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think about them all the time. And so I told the ladies that I was speaking with that I try to make an effort to reach out to one or two people pretty regularly, just to say hello. So I haven't heard from you in a long time. Just checking in, seeing how you're doing, that sort of thing. Because it's not as overwhelming if you kind of hash it out like that, like just a couple at a time to try to stay in contact with everybody. And around the holidays, it seems like it's a little bit more important, I think.
That's so weird that you just said that as well, because I've come to a point where I decided I want to start doing that. Like, these people that I haven't talked to in years and years and years. Like, I have a best friend from high school who, when I moved to the school where you teach, he was the only dude to ever talk to me.
Yeah.
For like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for Will, I would probably not have any friends from the school. Like, I probably would have just been a hermit and shut in. We haven't spoken, I don't even know, maybe 2 years. And it's like, it's hard to believe that it's been that long.
Yeah.
But previous to that, it had been 2 or 3 years. And then it's, I know that we're the type of friends that we could pick up overnight and pick up where we left off, like we never left off.
Yeah.
But it's that step, making that step to reach out and make a phone call. So it's like, that's something I'm going to do too.
Yeah. So there's so many things in our life that we have to be thankful for. Not only, the things that we have personally, But then the people in our lives too,
Yes.
which I think is equally, if not more so important than what you have.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to a previous guest of ours on the show, Jared Churchman from, I cannot remember the episode he was on, but I was talking to him a little bit ago actually, and we were just BSing, talking back and forth, and I said, I'm just kind of bummed out about the holidays this year. Not this is the first Thanksgiving, Christmas that I'm not going to spend with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and it hit me like that fast. I was like, yeah, but we're going to talk.
Yeah.
Just because of the coronavirus, we're not going to be in the same room,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to still get to speak to her. There's people that don't get to.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful that even though family's not going to be in the same room, I still have my family.
Yeah.
It's like they're a phone call away, they're a text message away, and I think that's one thing that I need to not take for granted as much.
Yeah, you need to have an attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
I was on Instagram earlier today, and Paige Baker, who's one of the
Mhm.
owners of Columbiana Nutrition, who we interviewed in a previous episode, she had a poll on her Instagram story asking if you had an attitude of gratitude, and I try to do that. I went through this experiment. I think we talked about this on an earlier episode. It's been a long time since I had done it, potentially years, even maybe a year or two since I've done it. But what I did was, every night before I went to bed, I would post on Twitter, just because it was an easy social media platform to do something quick, like to type something out. I don't have Facebook, so I went on Twitter and I posted 3 things every night that I was thankful for, that I was grateful for. And I tried to make it 3 things that were, or 3 things that ordinarily I wouldn't have been conscientious of their
Right.
impact on my life. So like, you can get on there and you can put, oh, I'm very thankful for my family, or I'm very thankful for my job. Like, those are things that most people are thankful for on a somewhat regular basis.
Mhm.
Like, you have like a pretty high degree of frequency that you sit back and are thankful for your family or for your house or for your car or whatever. I wanted to make it kind of those non-cliche things that I should be thankful for. Like the example we used earlier of like being able to walk. Like, I don't
Yes.
wake up every morning being thankful to walk, but when you think about it a little bit deeper, I probably should be, because a lot of people didn't get that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So, I tried to write those down once a day. Every night when I would go to bed, I would name 3 things. And then for whatever reason, I just kind of the theme of the episode early on is you drift away.
Yep.
And I just stopped doing it eventually. It's something that I should probably get back to, because it made me be so much more appreciative. And I was a pretty good time in my life at that point mentally.
Yeah.
I was in a good place, and I think that was probably had some correlation with it.
Your 3 thankful things is the only reason I stayed on Twitter for as long as I did, because I like to look at. I thought they were really cool, and it was like you said, it was always something off the wall, like not the normal.
Yeah.
Not health, happiness, and freedom.
Yeah.
Those are givens. Obviously, we're thankful that we're free. We live in a country where we're free and we can have choices. And
there's always ways to look at things. Like, now, I know that I have to do a better job of this, because, like, I know that I need to do it, but whether I need to do it and actually follow through and execute it are 2 different things.
Right.
I need to look and change my perspective of things too,
Mm-hmm.
because, like, the example that I like to use with people is driving to work, first thing on a Monday morning. A lot of people go to a job, and especially on a Monday morning, and that's the last place they want to be.
Right.
And you can kind of spin that around as like, maybe this is not a long-term solution for you to be in this job. And that's the number 1 problem that I would fix, is if you're not happy doing what you're doing, stop doing it. But if you are temporarily stuck, or you're in between jobs, or you're looking to improve that area and go elsewhere, but as far as right now, you're kind of in essence stuck there, change your perspective on it. So like, little things can make a big difference in your mind frame for the day. Like, I would say to myself, well, I may not enjoy going to work right now, but I'm thankful that I have this nice car and the opportunity to go to work and the opportunity to make money, whereas some people don't have that. Some people can't afford that. Yeah. So changing your perspective can help. And it's easy to do that when the going's good, but when the going gets tough, it's a lot more difficult to be thankful for things, especially when you're, in the midst of tragedy or whatever.
Right.
It's hard. It is hard, but I need to just continue to tell myself, be thankful for little things, little nuance that you normally wouldn't pay much attention to.
I use music a lot to put me in a happy mood.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a thankful mood, more or less. Like, I can remember I always had really loud and abrupt music for my alarm clock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it was usually some kind of heavy metal or hard rock or rap music. And actually now I have my phone plays K-Love, the radio station.
Okay.
Is what wakes me up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's something about going from waking up abruptly to like, headbanging music or just like Christian everyday music.
Yeah.
It's the mindset, that switch, that when that switch flips in the morning from asleep to awake. It's not a high heart rate. It's not craziness. It's like you get a relaxation as you wake up, and I like it. I actually do. That's what I listen to in the morning on the way to work. I don't listen to the radio too often anymore, but I have that on when I'm driving to work, and I don't ever get that, I don't want to be here feeling. You know what I mean? But I used to. Oh my, did I used to?
And even, I mean, you can even take something that at surface value could be superficial, but it's going to help too. Like when you go to work, say, this is an opportunity for me to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would hope that you would have a little bit more conviction with your career path than just this is only a moneymaker.
Right.
But if that's what you have to hold on to for that instance, then hold on to it and enjoy it and look at it as an opportunity to get ahead financially and money that you could potentially invest in doing something that you want to do and not something that you feel obligated to or you have to do.
Right.
And I think that that's just part of getting older. Like I know with gratitude and being thankful for things, the older I've gotten, the more aware I am of those things.
Yeah.
Because like we'll take the alarm clock, for example. You would have never thought of that 10, 15 years ago. Whereas now you're just, I don't know, just a little bit more conscientious of the things that you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Your cognition is a lot different in a metaphysical stance. So like for me, I know that as I've gotten older, especially, and I don't even mean older as in like 10 years. I mean, just recently, like in the past year or two, I've gotten so much more in touch with the reality of how important other people are.
Right.
Not materialistic things. Like I still like nice things, like I like a nice car, or nice clothes or whatever as much as the next person. But I find I put so much stress now on the importance of family time. Like when I get to talk to my mother, like every time I speak to my mom on the phone, because my mom and I have a very good relationship where we talk every night. And I talk to my dad, obviously, regularly too. But I just kind of more or less talk to my mom on the phone a little bit more than my dad. And at the end of the conversation, hey, if dad's up, tell him I love him and talk to him soon or whatever. But my mom and I share a lot of dialogue together on a daily basis. And I find myself never taking those calls for granted because in the past when I would talk to her every day, not that I didn't enjoy the conversation, but you never think, oh, I wonder how many conversations with my mom I'm going to end up having for the rest of my life.
Right.
And then I think of, the people that would do anything. And when I say anything, I mean literally anything to have one more conversation with their mom or whatever. So I find myself being so much more aware of how important people are in my life and trying to be thankful for them every day.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Like, I'm making it like trying to make it a point to stop having any kind of like not anger, because I don't think I have a whole lot of anger, but like just being upset with somebody or grudge holding because it's like you said, you don't know how long, even if it's not necessarily somebody that's super close to you, just somebody that you know in general, you don't know how much longer you're going to know them. Like, how much of the, so why spend a whole lot of time being frustrated with them?
And it's a very grim outlook to have, but I think it's it's a necessity. Like thinking about your life with a sense of, mortality, I think is important to understand that like life is fragile and you need to be thankful for your time here and the time that you have with other people while they're here.
Right.
So it's just really important. I think that, like I said, I've gotten a lot more in tune with it as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like the older you get, the more you have the life thing figured out. Because we always say that, life gives you the test before the lesson.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's a very interesting paradigm, that life. But so do you have any fun plans for Thanksgiving?
Family time. It's just going to be my wife and I, and my wife's grandmother lives with us, and her dad's going to come over.
Cool.
But other than that, my mom and my stepdad are going to stay home, and my dad and his girlfriend are staying home. Everybody's kind of staying home and doing their small family unit thing this year.
Yeah.
We have a lot of older people in our family and a lot of people with some underlying health issues, so just to, you know, not let the coronavirus be a potential
Mm-hmm.
in our households, you know, as much as we possibly can anyways.
Yeah.
We're going to just do our thing, unfortunately, because I'm used to having 25 people in the house.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a very, very, very small space. But we cram them in there, and it's usually a really good time. So it's going to be fun regardless. I think we're going to call everybody, maybe have like a big FaceTime like phone call and kind of see everybody. And
well, it's pretty cool with everything with like Zoom and Google Meets and all the things, Skype and all the different avenues there are to, you know, communicate with people. I feel like the world is connected as it's ever been.
Yes.
Despite the irony of the fact that we're social distancing now, right now.
Right.
And it's not the same, obviously, but it's still nice to be able to have those modalities to go to if you need them.
Right.
Like when people travel for business or are overseas out of the country, like it's always nice to be able to not just hear someone, but physically see them as well.
Right. I'm going to get up early in the morning tomorrow and go for a long run and earn some of that pie.
There you go. What's on the menu for you guys?
Just the staples. We do turkey and stuffing, mashed potatoes. I'm doing everything since we're doing such a small party. I'm doing everything on my Traeger grill.
Okay.
So I'm going to smoke everything. And kind of make everything homemade from scratch.
Can I make a super controversial statement right now?
Yeah.
Turkey's overrated.
Yo.
I know.
I eat turkey more during the year than I do at Thanksgiving.
You do. You do. For me, man, I look at turkey and it's bland. It's difficult to cook with a high degree of moistness like you can with some meats. I mean, you can certainly do it, but it's just the ceiling is a very low ceiling on the moist scale.
Yeah.
I prefer dark meat turkeys. Yeah, definitely better. And of course, naturally, wherever you go, you're going to have turkey. But if I'm picking and choosing, I don't think it's particularly close for me. Ham has to supersede that.
I feel you. Actually, I love turkey. You know, because I eat.
So you agree that ham's higher, though?
Yeah. I mean, the way I always make a ham and a turkey. We're not doing it this year because I'm the only ham eater.
Yeah.
That's going to be at the house, so it doesn't make sense to make a ham. But I would have to agree. I enjoy cooking a ham more than I do cooking a turkey because I can play with ham and you can't mess it up. It's already done. So like the only part that's messed up if you mess it up is like the outside.
See, I don't have enough insight either because I'm speaking strictly from someone who's eating. Like I'm not talking about the cooking, the preparation. Like so any comments that I make regarding, you know, the delicacies of Thanksgiving, that's all coming from a one-sided perspective of somebody who's eating it, not somebody who's preparing it.
I got a question that I was asked today, and I figured I would just ask my coach on air, see what he thinks, because I don't know, my answer might have been way off base.
Okay.
They said, so what's your diet like for Thanksgiving and Christmas? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, well, do you hold strong? What's going on? And I was like, well, there's no calories on Thanksgiving, so I just kind of follow my calorie count.
Yeah.
You know, so Thanksgiving food doesn't cost any calories, so it's, you know.
I've actually never, to be fair, I've never had an issue. So for me, my whole life, not my whole life, but my whole self-improvement from a physical perspective, so like my nutrition goals are always or have always been aimed at two primary things, getting bigger and getting healthier.
Yeah.
So adding more muscle and getting healthier, which unfortunately to a degree those two don't blend very well. Right. But for all intents and purposes, to a relatively small degree, they're going to be correlated. So I'm always trying to be bigger and be healthier. So caloric intake is more of importance to me as far as that side of things. I'm not trying to restrict it. I'm trying to optimize it. So I would always eat more throughout the year. So that's not a concern for me. The only time where I'm not in that type of a scenario would be like if I was preparing for a show, and I've never been in prep for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Right. I've told people in the past that generally I always try to compete in the fall. The reason for that is because in the summer, I don't have the full-time job of teaching. You know, like I have my online clients and I have my in the gym clients and I have so many other people and things and responsibilities that I have to adhere to. But taking an 8-hour chunk of a day that I would normally be at school and freeing that up allows me to prep meals a little bit more efficiently. I can eat a little bit more freshly, so I have some more freedom and flexibility as far as what food choices are in my diet, so to speak, for that phase. So it's always just easier for me to diet through summer.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people would disagree with that because it's a very difficult and tempting time because there's so many good things to eat during the summer, especially when you're traveling, because I do a lot of traveling during the summer.
Right.
So I have to, it takes a lot of preparation, a lot of planning prior. But regardless, I've never had to diet through or been in a prep scenario where I had to diet through Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's never been an issue for me.
Right. But so do you agree that it's not going to derail you for one day?
No.
It's kind of what the question was, because this particular individual is down 65 pounds and he's never lost weight really steadily in his life. And he's like, my wife makes all this good food and I have all my grandkids in the house and everybody's here. And I just don't want to ruin it, but I also don't want to be a bummer on the party. And I was like, honestly, man, as long as you've designed yourself a way to think to this point where you start losing weight, and you're obviously doing something right. You lost 65 pounds with really little to no help at all. So you're making good choices. So just keep them cognitive choices in your head, but have some fun.
Yeah.
And then remember that tomorrow, the day after, that party's over. Back to the grind. And then you're not going to derail yourself for one day.
I think the bottom line is it just turns into severe over-analysis at that point.
Yes. Yeah.
It's literally one meal or two meals.
Right.
Because most of the time for me, it's actually one meal. Honestly, for Thanksgiving, because people say oh man, how many calories do you eat on Thanksgiving? I said, to be fair, if I had to put a number on it, whatever that, arbitrary number is, I would probably say that it's actually less than what I would eat during a normal day, because it's a lot of very filling food that'll things that are going to accumulate some stomach volume. And I'm not eating as frequently.
Right.
I'll wake up a little bit later. I'll watch the Lions lose, and then I'll eat. And so it's only one meal in one sitting. But then I'll kind of snack a little bit on leftovers throughout the evening. But I just have one meal. So instead of eating 5 meals, it's one meal. And the 5 meals that I'm eating aren't 5 small meals. They're pretty calorically dense.
Right.
So yeah, I think that I actually would eat less on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Austin might be mad at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He'll probably want me to just keep everything on top of it and then still have the Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Just reward yourself, guy. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not a reward.
Yeah. He in Austin, it's funny because it's amazing how your perspective on nutrition and dieting is changing based on what you're doing. So you trying to lose and me trying to gain. What we would consider torturous is two completely opposite things. Austin posted a picture of one of his meals the other day, and I forget exactly what it was, but he said because he's doing kind of a mini cleanup phase. I don't know if it's for gastrointestinal health, if you want to work on his GI tract a little bit to kind of optimize things there. I know they did a shoulder injury, so he was taking calories a little bit down for some time to try to, I'm going to surmise, maybe decrease inflammation. And, he's not really optimizing those calories if he wasn't able to train upper body optimally for some time being. But regardless, even maybe if it's just body composition stuff, but he was going through this mini cut where he's just tapering calories down for a little bit because dieting needs to be cyclical like that. And he posted a picture of food and said if food is actually starting to taste good again, or I can finally start to enjoy a meal.
Right.
The one time I went to visit him, probably about a month or two ago, and he said, "Oh, bro, you missed it." And I said, "What?" He said, "I was just on the toilet going to the bathroom." And he said, "And I'm projectile vomiting as I'm going to the bathroom." I was like, "Why, are you sick?" He's like, "No, I just ate so much." And then I had my hand over my mouth trying to force the calories back down because I didn't want them to come out.
That's true to the grind bodybuilder right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, give it back.
Give me all the calories. But I just thought it was funny how you can see a huge difference in perspective with that. For me, people think that do Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner could potentially derail my progress. And I think if anything, it might even help me if I was able to get enough calories. I mean, I guess ironically, it would derail me too, but just in the opposite direction because it's fewer calories than I think what I would intake on a normal day.
Right.
So interesting perspective there. But regardless, to answer your question, I think for most people, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, don't overanalyze.
Enjoy yourself.
Just relax.
I think because last year I didn't at all. Like last year I was very, 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 because we were getting close to that, that 299 mark where it was like 2 weeks away.
I think we were probably like, I want to say about a week out or so, we are probably about like 310, 312. So we were within we were almost to single digits of striking distance. I think.
Yeah, right there in that comfort, in that really close to being comfortable. And so I didn't cheat at all for Thanksgiving last year. It was like I cooked all this food and I ate the food, but like I ate 6 ounces of white meat turkey. I ate, my normal amount of vegetables, and I didn't eat no carbs. It was just like it wasn't as fun.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of counterintuitive to what I normally say because food is not fun, it's fuel.
Yep.
But I think enjoying yourself with family too is important, and as long as you can balance it, I don't think it's that huge of a deal.
Well, I think that people may be over analytical, not just regards to what they should or shouldn't do, but also in regards to what they think people at a higher level than them do.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I diet or my nutrition is just as good as a professional's is, but we do a lot of the similar things, a lot of the same things. And so I think that a lot of times people can be a lot more normal in that aspect or that regard than you think. So, for example, if I go eat pizza or something, inevitably I'll get a couple comments like, "Oh, I didn't know you ate this. I didn't know you ate stuff like this." It's like, well, I mean,
I'm human.
Yeah, I can eat pizza. It's okay. It's not so far beyond me as a person. I'm not,
Not like I have a pizza date every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's the only thing around, or it's the whole crowd's doing pizza, I'm not gonna necessarily shoot that down completely because. I mean, I'm not Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not, or Jay Cutler where I'm eating I don't care what day it is. I don't care what it is. So, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, see, now I'm craving food. And I'm very hungry now. That's okay. I got still 2 more meals left for tonight. So, and like we said earlier at the beginning, we're recording this before Thanksgiving. It's actually the night before Thanksgiving. Yep. So when you guys will listen to this, hopefully you've had some time to reflect on. And we're going to do some more reflecting actually on what we're thankful for and kind of progress with this conversation because it's already putting me in a good mood just talking about things that I'm thankful for, and it puts me in a positive mind frame, especially going into tomorrow when I'll be around my family and can actually see, the people that I'm thankful for, because when I'm preemptively going into that type of a situation with a mindset that's positive, I think the outcome and the experience of spending time with them is going to be that much better.
I agree.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and we are going to go to a commercial break. As listeners of the Chasing Dreams podcast, we know that you demand the highest quality at all times. If you're interested in quality, look no further than Beast Mode Baking. Beast Mode Baking aims to bring the highest quality, creative, and of course delicious baked goods to your home with nationwide shipping. All orders need to be pre-ordered to ensure they're packed fresh and shipped out to you as soon as possible. Beast Mode Baking offers a flat rate of $15 for shipping due to the size and weight of the cookies and doughs. So if you're interested in Beast Mode Baking, please contact CEO Shannon Knorr. That's at SKNORR13 on Instagram, and order your delicious baked goods today, because every time you support them, you're supporting the podcast as well. And we are back from our commercial break. So Justin, during the commercial break, you and I spoke, and you said that one of the things you also wanted to touch on today was, talk about training a little bit. Absolutely. So give some training updates and then talk about training over the holidays, because I think that that's an important discussion point that a lot of people have asked me. I know from experience, people have asked me about that all the time. So first, let's start with the update portion. What is your training looking like right now?
Still very cardio heavy. I think I like the theme that we've been talking, back to the roots, back to the roots of my workout and my weight loss journey has been cardio. So that's the focus. But I had to put some strength training back in. I was going nuts. So I went back to a 3-day split. Upper lower split is basically what I'm doing now. So started this week, and Monday was an upper day, and it felt great. I I got to do some bench press, which I haven't done any barbell bench probably 6 months.
Wow.
I started because my shoulder wasn't liking it, so I started doing a lot of incline dumbbell press and a lot of machine work.
Yep.
Just trying to let my everything kind of heal. And then you know how that goes. Next thing you know, it's been 6 months and you haven't been laying on a flat bench with a barbell over top of you. So I put barbell bench back in, and man, did that feel good.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't even go for like a PR or anything. The theme kind of what I'm looking at now is going for PRs. I want to set PRs. So, because that's like the name of the game. That's progressive overload, right? Is keep getting better, keep getting stronger. But I'm doing it from a more, I don't know what the word is, form. I'm trying to make sure that form is 100. Like I don't care if it knocks me clear back to 185 on the bench press. You know, from 240, 245 where I was before. If it brings me clear down to like 185, if I can only get 185 for 5, but it's absolutely perfect, I'm okay with that.
Well, I have like two things that come to my mind when I hear that, because I have this conversation, honestly, pretty regularly with people, where when you talk about progressive overload, like we've talked about all the factors that play into that, and it's obviously, we've said this multiple times on numerous episodes, that it's not just progressive overload in the sense of load or bar weight, but you can have time under tension, you can have more frequency, you can have more volume. Progressive overload just means progressively overloading your body with more weight, more reps, more sets, more training days, whatever, in progressive fashion. So your body adapts and then you get heavier or go heavier or whatever. Well, execution, proper execution or better execution should be a constant variable, but realistically for most people it's not.
Right.
So as loads get heavier, technique can start to break down. And so I think that improving your form on lifts is a in essence it's progressively overloading.
Right.
And then also I think it's important for people to do like almost like deload phases, but not in the sense of what a typical deload is meant for. So in the training realm, for our listeners that aren't familiar with a deload, to put it pretty succinctly and give you a pretty rudimentary explanation, is it's just where you're doing less for an extended period of time. Usually like a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, depending on what the training cycle's like, where you down-regulate stuff. So you train maybe less frequently, maybe you're doing less total volume. Oftentimes it involves a lot less weight, so lighter weights than what you're used to. You're still doing the same movements, but lighter weights. And I think that a deload needs to also be used to hone back into like some cueing with lifts.
Right.
So if there's certain like mental cues or verbal cues that you like telling yourself, like squeeze this or drive this, drive your feet out or whatever based on the lift, I think you need to kind of reconnect with those.
Right.
Because then when you go back to training heavy again, it's going to elicit probably a better response. Because regardless of, who you are and how well trained you are, so to speak, you're always fixing your technique on things. I mean, take like Olympic weightlifters, for example. Literally the best weightlifters to ever walk the planet. And most of them focus on 2 lifts, the hang clean or the power clean and jerk and the snatch. 2 lifts. And they work on technique every single day for 2 lifts. That's it. Now they do other lifts as like supplements to get better at those lifts, of course. But honestly, you just need to be good at 2 lifts. It's like powerlifting. If you're a competitive powerlifter, none of your other lifts matter. You do more than 3 lifts, but you really only need to be good at 3 lifts because those are the only competition ones.
Right.
The squat, the bench, and the deadlift.
Right.
Take professional athletes. No matter how good of an NBA player you are, they all still do basic drills. They do basic shooting drills. They shoot their foul shots. They do like the dribbling drills that you learn in first and second grade when you first pick up a basketball. The pros do those every day. So I think that,
craft.
Yeah, and I think that lifting can more or less be looked at as a skill. You have to get good at a bench press if you're going to do bench press. If you're trying to squat, constantly try to get better at the squat.
Yeah.
That's where people, I'm sorry, I just got to keep going on this soapbox here, because I see it all the time where people say, I want to get my squat better. Now, what does that mean what do you think that person means when they say they want to get their squat better?
I know what they mean because I've been that person. They want to get stronger.
Yeah, they want the squat to get better in weight. They want to be able to, they could only squat 200, they want to squat 300 or whatever. And I tell them, okay, I appreciate that you want to make your squat, quote, better, is exactly how you put it. That's awesome. And that's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to make your squat better, meaning the execution of the squat needs to get better. Otherwise, you're never going to improve there.
Right. You're never going to get stronger if you don't know how to do the movement right. Because all you're going to do is hurt yourself.
And for most people, with my athletes, when you're trying to develop an athlete holistically, so you're trying to incorporate as many different athletic traits in an individual as you can, regardless of sport. So if I have a baseball player, certain things pop up in your mind as being important for a baseball player. Like, just off the top of my head, they need a lot of rotational power and a lot of core strength because of the twisting that comes from pitching motions or hitting motions. That's, it's crucial that they have a lot of rotational power and like transverse plane stuff and a lot of power through those different movement patterns. They need to have good hand-eye coordination, obviously, because you're playing with a very small ball, and that small ball is moving extremely fast. Infielders have to have a lot of good lateral movement to be able to, reactionary time, to be able to react to the ball and move towards it. However, all athletes need to be developed as a whole, because if I have a kid who's bigger, faster, stronger, and can jump higher, if he has the same skill set as your baseball player, mine's going to be better because he has all those other things going for him as a holistic athlete. That's why it's so important to preach, multi-sport athletes always have the most success versus those who, specialize or individualize in a particular sport. So when you're trying to develop an athlete holistically, I really don't think from a strength perspective. I always tell my kids, we don't need to do a lot. We just need to do a few things, but we got to be really, really, really good at those few things. So like some of my athletes, when we train, movement development is different. We do a lot of different things, but as far as the strength component goes, we're very repetitive with some of the mechanical things we're going through. So like, if you think about it, man, if you can bench press as a high school athlete, if you can bench press 300 pounds, you can squat 400 pounds, and you can deadlift 500 pounds. I don't care what your other accessory movements are. I don't care how much you curl, how much your tricep extensions are. I don't care how much you overhead press, really. I don't care how many crunches you can do. If you can do those type of numbers with 3 main compound lifts like that, you're going to be strong, and it's going to translate really well as long as your movement patterns are okay.
Yeah, and then you're good at, like you said, then you're good with your other stuff.
And it's not just athletes, it's health purposes. Like if someone's trying to, let's say we have a goal of getting as good of shape as possible. Now, when you say good shape, we can take into account, like health markers. Like you want to have your blood work look solid. Organ function wants to be good. Body composition, you want to look like you're in shape. You want to look youthful. How your joints feel. So like get rid of any orthopedic concerns you have. So when you're just trying to develop someone to be as healthy and feel good as possible, same thing applies. You don't need to do a lot of strength training, but I would suggest getting good at a few things first. Now, once you master those things, then you progress. But like start with a couple basic exercises that you like, because that's really going to instill the most amount of consistency is liking something. You're going to go back to it if you like doing it. So pick a couple variations of some lifts that you like and stick to them and do them all the time. Get real good at them. Then once you get real good at them, maybe rotate them out.
I tell people, when people ask the question, what do I do? When do I do it? What do I do? In the gym, it's like I basically the same thing. Pick 4 or 5 things and do it for 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And see where you're at.
Pick some things that you like to do. Like if you have let's say you don't have any specific goals in the gym.
Right.
Like I want to lose weight. Okay. Well, why, how, like if you just want to lose weight, you just want to gain muscle, or if you don't have like a specific direction or purpose for going in that direction, just like a vague goal like that, that's it, man. Pick some things that you know how to do, try to get really good at them, and do them from long enough a period to see if it works or not.
Yeah.
And your body is going to tell you, and the results are going to tell you everything you need to know. If you're doing, let's say I pick 4 exercises, and I do those 4 exercises every other day for 5 months.
Right.
Did I get stronger? No. Okay. Well, was I not training heavy enough? Was my technique not good enough? Was I not eating enough? Let's say I was trying to lose weight. Did I lose weight? Yes. Okay, let's keep doing this. Did I lose weight? No. Okay. Was it my eating? Or was it my training? Maybe I could change the training. Maybe these exercises weren't good for me. Maybe there wasn't enough metabolic output. Maybe I need to focus more on cardio. Just do things for a little bit of time, see how they work, and then change accordingly.
Right.
It's not difficult to figure out.
It's like not rocket science.
No, it's not at all. It's really easy. And actually, here's the thing, man. If people understood how easy and simple this stuff is, I would be out of a lot of clients.
Yeah.
Because it's really not that difficult.
I think, like, to me, the biggest tip that I have for people in the gym, and I don't have a whole lot, but the biggest tip that I have is, like, motion is the potion.
Yeah.
Like you said, we picked 4 exercises, and that's funny you said 4 because that's literally my workouts are 4 exercise workouts. Mm-hmm. I just keep moving for 45 minutes to an hour. I don't stop. I have a workout partner, so while I do my workout, my movement, and then it's his set, I walk. Yep. I just keep moving. You just gotta keep moving, and it works. That metabolic output. You start burning calories, you start sweating, you start to feel good. Everything starts to loosen up. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. It's definitely not a complicated process. Now there are instances where it needs to get complicated, like. If I have someone who's trying to look a little bit better versus somebody who's going to look a little bit better to step on stage, huge degree of specificity change.
Yeah, no doubt.
Obviously we're going to have to get a lot more dialed in, and that's where it would behoove you to hire someone to work with you for your training and your nutrition or whatever. But most people, I think, can and should be able to get away with not hiring a coach necessarily and just doing things on your own. Or what I like to do is I think that one of the things that I think I do a very good job of is I feel like I've always done a pretty good job of instilling a sense of independence and fostering some learning in people to be able to do things on their own. So when I have people who have no gym experience and they come up to me for personal training, my goal, and I've said this on multiple episodes, is always, follow the proverb, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. So I don't want people to come and have any type of dependency on me. I want to get people into the gym. I want to explain to them what exercises to work, how to perform the exercises, why they're doing the exercises, what they need to do outside the gym, to, I guess, expedite the progress that they want to see. And then after a couple weeks or a couple months or, depending on how passionate the person is about learning and getting better, I like to try to get them to go on their own, so I think that I've had a pretty high success rate of being able to get people in a gym situation where they have no idea what's going on,
right?
Teach them and then release them on their own with a pretty high degree of success.
The irony in that is insane. The fact that it's your job and you want them to stop paying you.
Yeah.
Like you want you are a unique breed, sir.
Well, and honestly, that's part of the discussion that I have. Like I'm pretty open with them too. I said,
I know, I've had it.
Listen, like you don't want to keep throwing money at stuff.
Right.
I appreciate that people find value in me and are willing to pay me, lots of money for my services, but at the same time, you shouldn't have to do that after a certain amount of time. And I always try to be upfront and say, hey, this is expensive. So if we can get you to where you need to be, because I've told people I never want to be paid to be a cheerleader.
Right.
So I want to bring value and bring knowledge to a training session. So when you hire me, I hope that I give you those things. What I don't want to give you, or I do want to give you, but I don't want it to be the only reason that you hire me, is someone to follow you around as you exercise and do things that you already know how to do.
I agree.
I want to be teaching you something, giving feedback, critiquing, constructive criticism with everything we do as we're going through a training session. I don't want you to just go through the motions with me following you around because you already know what to do. That's wasting money, which is not a good idea for anybody, regardless of how much of it you have.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
So that's definitely one of the things that I feel like I've done a pretty good job at, is teaching. And I think that some of that becomes second nature to me because of, I guess, the nature of everything else that I do. So like when you coach, when you teach, when you're a personal trainer, when you're an online coach, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
You're trying to give people the necessary information and give them access to the tools that they need to be successful.
I agree.
Like people have, I always tell people, it's most of the time, it's not a willpower issue. People don't have a willpower issue or a dedication issue. Oftentimes, they just have a lack of the ability to execute for one reason or another.
Right.
Maybe the diet that they were on originally was too difficult for them to follow. It didn't adhere very well to their time schedule. It didn't adhere very well to their financial needs because there were too many supplements or too expensive foods or whatever. So I try to navigate through those things with people and then get them on a path to where put them in a position that they need to be successful.
Right. So I guess moving on to training, like in the now.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Holiday. How do you attack a holiday training schedule? Like, because we're both pretty serious about making sure we execute our trainings.
Mm-hmm.
So
now keep in mind, when I answer this question, coming from someone, again, who has never prepped through the time frame that people deem, quote, the holidays, right? Like I've never been in a prep scenario for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Right.
So what I used to do and what I do now are different. Like now, coincidentally enough, I feel like I'm a lot more level-headed, so I don't feel the need to go to the gym on those days.
Right.
Because bodybuilding is important, but my family is a little bit more important. So I usually don't train. When I would consider myself more of a meathead, I used to love going to the gym on Christmas. No matter where I'm at, whether it's my hometown where I grew up, the town where I went to college, or the city I went to college in, or where I live now, I'm always going to have access to a gym when I need it.
Yeah.
For a holiday. So it being Christmas, I have connections. I'm going to get in somewhere. And I used to love going on Christmas. I didn't feel like I had to. I didn't feel like it would derail my progress if I didn't go to the gym. I just felt so liberated and free when I'm in a gym alone, training on Christmas, and I know that there's not a lot of other people out there doing that.
Dude, it's just so much like what I talked about last year when I was training for triathlon.
Yeah.
I was training for an indoor race that happened 100% inside, on a treadmill, in a pool, on a stationary bicycle. And in January, February, March, I was outside running in the snow because I knew everybody else training for this was on an indoor track or on a treadmill.
Yeah.
But I'm on a wet road at night in the snow.
Uh-huh.
It's the same concept.
Yep.
I love it. And that's exactly how I feel. Part of the reason I train so early in the morning is it don't matter what day it is.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna get my training session in before everybody else wakes up.
Yep.
Because I'm gonna wake up anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like my body just wakes up at 4:00 in the morning, which would be sleeping in. I'm up,
and then you hit the ground running.
Right.
Sometimes literally.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. A lot of times it's just a walk anymore, but still, hit the ground moving.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's my training day. My training schedule this week or right now is Monday, Wednesday, Friday strength and cardio, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays is all cardio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like nothing changes. I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm going to hit the track for an hour, hour and a half, and then I'm going to go home and just do whatever all day. I'm going to cook all day, and I'm just going to spend time with family. But hypothetically, what do you do if it's a training? If you are on a training day, would you train? Like if you had access to a gym close by and you could do it whenever your family was asleep, would you still train or would you take the day off and rest?
I would normally say rest, but you almost threw too many specifics out there to make it impossible for me to say I would train, or for me to say I would rest.
Right.
Like you said, the gym's open, it's nearby, family's asleep. It's like, I got to go train then. What else am I going to do?
Right. That's how I feel like, because my body wakes up so early, because I've been ridiculed because everybody asks me what I'm doing tomorrow. I've been asked 3 times now today. Are you going to work out tomorrow?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely going to.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because this guy's going to be awake at 4:00 in the morning regardless. It's just something that I do. My body wakes up. Usually I can go back to sleep, but I feel better. Also, that's the other thing. I am happier after the gym. I'm
Yeah.
happier after I know that I accomplished a task that otherwise, years past, there's no way in heck I would have done.
Well, I'm sure, too, that you feel the sense of accomplishment, like we spoke about earlier, just because no one else is doing this. I mean,
Right.
I shouldn't say no one else, but a large majority of people aren't doing it.
Most people are taking a break.
I think that like the underlying theme with that question needs to be, if you want to go, go. If you don't, don't.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I wouldn't judge anybody for doing it. I actually think that I'm nuts for going,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that thing inside of me that I have to do it because I said I was going to at one point, and now it's something that I can't say no.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus, like people like you and I, and I'm sure a large majority of our listeners, there's a lot of people out there that actually enjoy lifting and enjoy exercising.
Yeah.
A lot of people, unfortunately, look at it as a task, and it's burdensome to go to the gym and have to work out and have to be in shape. Whereas, like, I like lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of my favorite things to do ever. So,
yeah,
like, I'm saying, oh, I don't say. Again, perspective. Like we started, it's come full circle here. Perspective can change a lot of things. Like I don't say I have to go to the gym. I say I get to go to the gym.
Right.
I get to lift today.
To.
Yeah, I want to. I actually enjoy that.
Yeah, that's the 2:30 in the morning wake up to go work out is not a chore for me.
Mm-hmm.
When it becomes a chore, I'm going to change it.
Yeah.
I'll go back to nighttime. I'll take a rest. I'll take a reprieve from it.
Mm-hmm.
But while it's still, don't let me lie to you and say I don't wake up and be like, oh man, it's 2:30 in the morning. But the second my feet hit the ground, I'm like, all right, I'm up.
Yep.
Let's get this done. I take some pre-workout and we get it after it. I enjoy waking up early and going and doing that uncomfortable thing that, like you said, nobody else is. I'm sure somebody somewhere else is doing it, but really, who else is working out at 3 o'clock in the morning when they don't have to?
And I know that, to go back to what we spoke on earlier, I know that you're very thankful for the opportunity to do that.
Oh my God.
And I think that that's what makes it so much easier, is because you're thankful to have a gym that's open 24/7. You're thankful to have the health, which you didn't have prior, to be able to get up and do that. So I think that being thankful, in essence, can really instill a lot of discipline in people.
Yeah. I'm going to say something that's strange, but I'm thankful for being 526 pounds for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Because it allows me to think about the things that I am able to do now that I wasn't able to do before.
Innumerable. Yeah. There are so many things. Like we used to say stuff.
On.
Yeah. I remember when we first started recording, and even prior to that, like, when you were 475, and then 450, and then 425, and then 380, and then 350, and it just kept going down and down. And like, it almost seemed like, honest to God, every day, there was something that you could do, or that was getting easier that you never thought of before.
Right.
But you're like, dude, like, this is so much easier now. I can't believe I can do this. Like, look, just little things. Like, I remember one of the things that we used to do when you kind of first started training over at the gym with us, and I say us, I mean like me and our little conglomeration of people there. One of the things we used to do is on Fridays, we mentioned it before, we used to all train arms.
Yeah.
And we would do like close grip push-up circuits to finish, or like to start a workout, just to get a crazy pump and stuff. And everybody was able to do push-ups except for you.
Yeah.
And, even doing push-ups from the knees, still not able to do more than one or two of them at most. And you would always do them with us. You do your one or two to contribute what you could. And now you're posting videos of you doing push-up challenges.
Yeah.
So again, it's like we talked about on previous episodes, you doing the exact opposite of where you were at.
And that's kind of the theme of my life anymore.
Yeah.
Is I want to be, and I think I want to do it to the extreme. Because I think if I can do it to the extreme, that it goes back to that thing. If I can do it, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can do it to the extreme, you can do it to the at least. You could at least do it.
Yeah.
So if at some point in my life not if, sorry, Dr. Ryan, when I go and do my first marathon, and then when I do my first ultra marathon, when I do my first Ironman, somebody that is 526 pounds, is 626 pounds, is going to be like, dude, I can walk to the gas station and back.
Yeah.
Or I can walk down on these steps that I haven't been able to go down in 10 years.
Yeah, if you can, like you said, if you can do it to that degree,
right.
they can do it to some degree.
Right.
And actually, it's funny you said that. I was listening to an interview with Ben Pekulski one time, retired professional bodybuilder who now has a podcast, and he's very, very heavily involved in the fitness industry. And Ben was talking about when he first decided that he wanted to become a bodybuilder. He said he knew that he had potential to be a pro. And it had nothing to do with genetic predispositions, because he said, you look at my family, they're all overweight and none of them are healthy. He said, but like, I looked at someone and I said, if that guy can build that much muscle, talking about whomever pro bodybuilder he was speaking about. So if that guy can build that much muscle, I can get pretty darn big, because I'm sure I can build a fraction of that.
Right.
So if someone sees Justin lose, 300 pounds, well, I don't know if I can if I can lose 300 pounds, but
by God, sure I can lose 100.
I could lose 10.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10. 50.
Yeah.
And then maybe that 50 turns, like you said, I can do 100.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I might be able to get 150. Yeah. Because I think that you and I, when you started out, I certainly knew, but I don't know if you knew where you could end up. Like, was it like when you start off, like when Justin's 526 pounds, where does Justin think the end of the road is?
I honestly never thought I'd get out of the force.
Yeah.
When I started, I think I've said this on, in the first 20 episodes, we talked about it really in depth. At some point when I first started, I thought if I could just get out of the 500s,
mm-hmm.
I would be ecstatic, because for as long as I can remember, it was a long time, because there was a time where I think I was higher than 526.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find a scale to tell me, and I didn't want to. But if I could get out of the fives, we're doing something.
Yeah.
And then I got, like you said, it was like fives, and it was 475, then it was 450, then it was 438, and then it was, 405, and you were like, bro, you're knocking on the threes, and I was like, what? No, I'm not. Holy crap, I am.
And it was weird is because like when we have this conversation with people on air, we're talking about the big chunks,
mm-hmm.
but it was never a big chunk.
No, it was a pound here and 2 pounds there.
It was always 2 pounds this update, 3 pounds this update, half pound this update, 2 ounces
mm-hmm.
this update.
Yeah.
4 pounds this update. It was always very progressive, and it seemed slow.
Yeah.
But then when you mark it out on paper, it looks like, just randomly say 526, it goes 524, 523, 521, 520, 519, 517,
mm-hmm.
512. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not like these, like the body weight was just jumping off in 50-pound increments.
No, yeah.
But that's what happens, because I tell people all the time when it comes to your weight loss, I said, Justin is just an example of someone who did everything right for an entire year. He's not abnormal,
right,
as far as his abilities go. The only difference is he's abnormal in his approach to things, because he does everything the right way and is not going to cut corners. And that's what happens when you do it for a year straight.
Right.
That's what happens.
It is. Because like you said, I'm not something special. I think I had something special after I got this thing going. The mindset that I had going into it was do or die. You know what I mean?
Quite literally, probably.
Yeah, no, I don't. No, there's no probably involved. Somebody at that size doesn't live to be 40.
Well, and I told you that
at that young,
you saved your life.
Yes.
Because when you're 526, the trajectory that you are on, it's probably, I would say you're within a couple months, within a year, within 12 months of probably being bedridden.
Yeah.
Because I
was almost to the point where I was like, outside of actually getting up and going to work, I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
It was come home and eat and sit in a chair. A big chair.
And I think
that I'll never get rid of.
That's why you've been so thankful to bring it back full circle, is because over the years, well, I guess 2 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Over the 2 years of your journey into fitness and into health and into self-improvement and stuff, you've been so vocal with me about the things that you're thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, I can put socks on. Look, I was talking about it the other day at the gym with someone. I remember when you and I first started cardio together, and you would walk a lap or two and be out of breath. And then, pretty soon we got to the point where we would walk 3 miles and didn't even realize that we walked 3 miles.
Just
and then,
talking.
And then we're like, hey, we're done with 3 miles. You want to keep going? Sure, let's keep going. And then we just did it,
Right.
So, like, you would always point those things out to me, and it actually helped me a lot because I saw how thankful you were for little things, and, like, it put me in a better frame of mind because, like, I wanted to know what that feels like.
Yeah.
I never want to know what it feels like to be 526 pounds, but I want to know what it feels like to be so grateful all the time like you are, because people say to me, like, why is Justin always in a good mood? How is Justin always happy? And I think that, part of the thing that they need to understand is because he's been sad. Because, the part of the reason why Justin is so happy is because he's been sad. The reason he's so grateful for everything that he has is because at one time he felt like he had nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's coming from the exact opposite perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I like the idea of talking about it, and I hate talking about it. Let me preface that because I still don't feel like I'm anything special. But I like to talk about it from that point of view where it's the exact opposite, the polar opposite theme, because I love it. I love being able to do things that a year and a half ago were unfathomable.
Yeah.
Not something I couldn't do. They physically were unfathomable. You could not ever see my body doing these things.
Yeah.
Climb a ladder.
Yeah.
Be a firefighter.
Run a triathlon.
Be a father.
Yeah.
Be a father for any length of time.
And I remember that early on, that was kind of one of the main driving forces behind this. Like, you spoke, and if anybody wants some really good insights, like, definitely go check out some of our earlier episodes.
Yeah.
Where you really opened up about everything, like with your past and your weight gain and all this stuff. And, like,
I actually listened to them recently. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please.
They've been almost a year ago. We did those 3 episodes where I was supposed to be open as possible. I don't think I'm ready to open up more now yet, but I think we need to redo those again because I can see now where I was still hiding stuff.
Yeah.
Still saying things sugar-coated because they hurt.
There's vulnerability
It's not something I like to talk about, but my goals in life are, like, selfish to the point where I need to do me to an extreme so I can help you do you. Not you, but help you. If you say you, but help you as the listener, as that guy sitting on his couch that's still 526 pounds and can't get up because he doesn't have the willpower to get up. I have to do me selfishly to an extreme extent so I can help him get up.
Well, and the fact of the matter is you're going to have a more profound effect based on the profoundness of your story.
Yeah.
So if you lose 100 pounds, you're going to motivate a lot of people.
Right.
If you lose 200 pounds, you're going to motivate more people. You lose 300 pounds. Like, how crazy your transformation is going to give you an even better listenership and followership. Now, you're not going to change. Like, when you lose, another, 100, 200 pounds, whatever, you're not going to do anything different than you're doing now.
No.
You're just going to be doing it for longer.
Right. Doing it for better.
You're not going to necessarily be a different person. Your insights aren't going to be different. You're going to still tell the people a year from now the same things you told them during the first year of your weight loss.
Right.
But I feel like people are going to be more willing to listen. There's going to be more people listening to you because you said how much, like, even when you lost the first 50 or 100, how many people were coming to you asking for advice on stuff.
And I don't feel right giving advice yet, still, to this day, because it's like, look at me, guy.
Imposter syndrome is what it's called.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, okay. I've read a little bit about it, and I'd like to read more. What I gather from imposter syndrome, and hopefully I'm not using it out of context, but I believe it's where someone feels like they're an imposter because they haven't accomplished anything noteworthy. So if people tell me I'm such a good coach and I don't feel worthy of that, I feel like I feel like I'm an imposter. Like I'm not a really good coach. I'm just pretending like I am, and I'm faking it, almost like fake it till you make it, or I just like pretend I'm a really good bodybuilder. And sometimes you have to just sit back and say, no, dude, you are a good coach. Like, no, you are a good bodybuilder. Like, no, Justin, you know exactly what you're doing. You lost, 227 pounds in a year, stuff like that.
Accepting your successes.
Yeah, which is something that Dr. Ryan helped me a lot with, because I had a lot of difficulty with that.
Yeah, that guy, I can't wait to have him back on.
Yes, for sure.
But yeah,
I want to also bring that up to kind of like close this as well, because something that I was thinking today, actually, bringing in the new year, not necessarily New Year isn't, but the new year from our show, because we just, released episode 52 2 weeks ago. I want to get to the point where we have a little bit more regularity with our guests as well, because we've gotten such an unbelievable response. Like, I'm really thankful that people, for whatever reason, likes to listen to our dialogue back and forth.
Yeah.
But we do get so much feedback about our guests and how good they are. And I feel like that's going to give our listeners the most value versus a fat guy and a skinny guy sitting and talking about stuff. Like we always say, we're a fat guy trying to get smaller and a skinny guy trying to get bigger. So, I mean,
right.
I think that and then that was, again, we hammered the horse, several times, that we always want to give value to you from our guests, because
we don't know anything.
Yeah. We're always learning.
Yeah.
We look at, when we interview our guests, more or less, it's essentially a free seminar for us. We get to listen to them.
Right. I agree. It's like, and I sometimes with our guests, I sit here like, Justin, you need to say something, because all I'm doing is listening, soaking it up. Like, it's like, I feel like I look at the time and I'm like, man, 20 minutes has gone by and I've said, and yes, and yep, absolutely. And that's all I've said, because that's all I need to say.
And I see it when I'm interviewing someone with you, when you're physically in the room with me.
Yeah.
I see you taking notes down and internalizing it. Like, you're very, active listener, like writing down notes and recording things that you hear and stuff. And
absolutely.
You've even made mention to me that you go back through episodes where we interview people and re-listen to them, not to re-listen to the episode for any other reason other than to get information back that you may have missed the first time.
Absolutely. I have to. And it's like, because I think I'm doing our guests and our listeners a disservice if I don't try to absorb what our guests are giving us.
Yeah. Well, man, I think that about does it for this episode. Any closing comments you want to make?
Yeah, real quick. So I was thinking this whole time, I've been thinking about it since we came back from commercial break, we should finish on what is like one thing you're most thankful for. Try to make it something different. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you can go first.
So something different, as in,
like, obviously we've said we're super thankful for
like our health and our
family and all that.
Oh man. That's a tough question. I like questions that are off the cuff like that, though. One thing that I'm very, very thankful for is that on a daily basis, I have an interaction with someone that implies that they enjoy being around me.
Ooh.
So, like, whether it's a kid who comes to school and says, Coach D, you're my favorite teacher. Or when I walk into the gym and people start yelling for me, it's like cheers, like where everybody knows your name. It's like, oh, Charlie's here, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Or like, I have a heart-to-heart with a coworker or something. I feel like people in my life recently have been pretty vocal about, again, we go back to it, the value that I bring them. And I feel like I'm making a pretty big impact. I want to make a bigger one, but I feel like I'm doing the right things and impacting people's lives. And it's one thing to impact people's lives, but I'm so thankful that they iterate that to me and they communicate that with me. Nice. Because you can make like huge impacts on people and never know. And I feel like that's great because the impact is what you strive for, but it's so much better to know that you're making the impact. So I'm just very thankful that people reach out to me and say, hey, you're doing a really good job with stuff. Yeah. Like, hey, your clients are really making progress. Or like, I think you're a really good teacher or something like that. Like, again, it goes back to like we talked about on episode 52 on our anniversary episode, how thankful we are when people give us compliments about the show.
Yeah.
Like people listen to the show and give compliments and it's like, holy cow, like I'm bringing value to these people's lives because they're spending their free time, which they probably have a limited amount of. They're spending it listening to us.
Right.
So I'm just very, very thankful that people are willing to tell me how I've helped them and how I continue to help them. That's really good for me.
I like it. So mine is kind of selfish. I am thankful for the learned ability to love myself more than I used to hate myself.
Yeah.
Because doing that, I love myself more every day. And that helps me, drives me to want to help people. And that's my life's ambition. I think that's my life's meaning, is to help people.
I think that's a pretty profound statement there, because I think that everybody's so self-conscious about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes you experiencing ultimate vulnerability to eventually eradicate it.
Yeah.
Like if you want to get rid of feeling vulnerable and hating yourself, you almost have to like face it.
Yeah.
It sounds corny, but you have to face your fear. Look at the man in the mirror. Like, see how overweight you are.
Yeah. Like,
see how skinny you are.
Right.
You know, see how poor you are. Look at it and be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the people, I like the man in the mirror thing, and I know I could get on a long tangent here, but I won't because we're at the end of the show. But a lot of the people that I like to look up to, David Goggins, Dave Ramsey, those two in particular both talk about looking at the man in the mirror. Dave Ramsey says, be okay with the man you shave with. So, and I didn't understand that the first time I heard him say it, but then I heard it again, and I was like, oh, he's talking like when you're looking in the mirror shaving, be okay with that guy. And David Goggins, you know, in his book, Can't Hurt Me, he talks about spending time in his accountability mirror every single day.
Yeah.
Holding yourself accountable, looking at that guy in the mirror and being like, all right, I can go to sleep knowing that that's the guy looking back at me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I do. I want to be okay with that guy, because once I'm okay with this guy, I can go help other people.
Yep. It's like the old saying, you can't love other people until you learn to love yourself first. And I think that you're kind of a living embodiment of that.
I'm trying.
Yep.
So.
All right, guys. So with that, we have come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. This has been episode 54. We hope that you have had and will continue to have a wonderful holiday weekend, and we look forward to hearing back from you guys next week.
Unbreakable, unstoppable, I'm pushed to the